Hey everyone, welcome to Screen Peek. Today I'm joined by my co-host Nick, and this is our review and discussion of the game Mixtape. So both Nick and I have played and beat the game, and today we just want to have a discussion on the game and share our thoughts about it. But before we get into that, just a little synopsis of what is Mixtape. You may or may not have heard about the game. So at its core, it's a coming-of-age story about three friends on their last night of high school heading to one final party before their lives split apart and they go off to college. And really, the hook is that everything is structured around a literal mixtape. Each song essentially triggers a playable memory sequence where you relive the main character's, greatest moments, like their first kiss, skateboarding with their friends, hanging out. So very vignette-based gameplay. Uh, and really it's supposed to revolve around like kind of like flipping through the main character's memories. And this whole game is kind of wrapped in this very stylized, almost animated film type presentation. And it's really trying to essentially capture that feeling of nostalgia. Like, what is it like looking back through your teenage years through this lens of music? Critically, the game has done really well. A lot of outlets have given it some very high scores. I think in on Metacritic, it's sitting about a 86 score, whereas the community, the user reviews are sitting in somewhere I think in the sixes. So uh, between critics and the community, fairly divided in on the review side of things. But like I said, Nick and I both played it. We both have our different thoughts about it. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So Nick, before we talk about Mixtape, my first question for you actually is, do you enjoy these types of games? Right, we know what kind of game this is. I think the common nomenclature is it's a quote walking sim. Is this a type of game that you're usually into?
Uh, yeah. Why not, right? I play a little bit of everything. I jumped into this game knowing that it would be kind of like a walking simulator, right? Like it's very similar to other Annapurna produced video games, right? Like the Outer Wilds and things like that. Um, I know a lot of people, and Marco, I'm sure you're going to touch on this later on. But I know a lot of people reviewed it negatively because of a lack of gameplay, because it is a quote unquote walking simulator, right? But to me, I knew about it coming in, and honestly, I was pretty hyped for the game itself prior to release. And yeah, I would say I don't mind these types of games.
Yeah, I would say for myself, I'm the same way. I actually really enjoy these types of games. I actually look forward to these quote not necessarily walking similar as a gen like I wish, it's not like I just love walking, but if there's a good story, there's good gameplay mechanics, I don't mind
It's an
a short
experience.
yeah, I don't mind a short experience, especially as a 9 to 5 worker, family,
Right.
friends, a lot to keep up with. I like short, tightly packaged games, right? And so yeah, Mixtape coming into it, yeah, I had a lot of hype coming into this game. You actually were the one who reminded me this game was coming out. I completely forgot it was coming out in May. I thought it was coming out much later. So, um, but yeah, no, I love these types of games. So with that up front, what were your initial thoughts about Mixtape?
Hearing me just give that response prior, right? I think people are gonna think I gave it an 8 or 9 out of 10. Scores. I'll give the score later on, but I'll say this. Honestly, I wasn't too impressed. Um, you know, like I said, I knew going into it, it would be more of a vibe experience, right? Kind of situation. Growing up in the 90s and early 2000s for me, where I'm a 90s kid, um, it definitely touched on a couple of those things, and it parts of it tugged on the heartstrings, and parts of it gave me a nostalgic trip, right? It reminded me of me and my friends growing up, things that we did growing up. And yeah, that's awesome, but it just didn't quite hit the mark, right?
Okay, I I would tend to agree. I, so I really wanted to love this game, and again, like we said, we'll give our scores later, but I did have an enjoyable experience. However, I feel like the entire time I was playing it, I was kind of saying to myself, so what? Or what else? Right? I feel like I was just waiting for that moment in the game that was like,
like
this is awesome.
yeah, like something to hook you in, right?
Something to hook me in, yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
agreed.
I feel like knowing that the game obviously like heavily revolves around music, and maybe we touch on that for a bit. Game heavily revolves around music. Maybe I'm not too deep into the indie scene, but like I said, like you said, like you're a '90s kid. I'm a '90s kid. Grew up in the '90s. There's only like what? There's like 26 songs I think in the game. I maybe knew 4 of them, and I remember a Smashing Pumpkins song, a Joy Division song, and then the one song by Sushi and the Banshees. I think it
Yeah.
was like, and then maybe one more off the top of my head. But every other song that I was playing was like, what the hell is this? I'd never heard this
It's a
song,
lot
and
of
I know it was all
obscure indie
so
like
obscure.
music. Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that kind of, again, I let artists do their thing, and I want art to be art, and I don't want to project my own wants and desires. But like ultimately, it was an okay game, but I feel like the whole central hook where it's like I need that nostalgia hit of like growing up in the '90s, going back to the time in my own place in my head where I'm back in high school. You're not going to see your friends again for a long time as you go off to college. Like, I don't know. Like, I wanted to be put back there, but I was kind of doing it through the lens of this main character where she's so into like this, you know, different type of music that I'm into, and like I don't know, like I didn't really fully connect with the character because I feel like our experiences were so different, and I couldn't fully immerse myself in that character. Like I got somewhat into her headspace, but then just like the direction of where the game ultimately went, the music that was playing, like yeah, I just couldn't get there and
That's fair. I
totally
mean,
drive with the protagonist.
yeah, and that's fair, right? As a creative myself, growing up, I played multiple instruments, was very big into music. Um, at the time, right, I think I've grown up to really appreciate it now, but at the time, it was like more so I've been forced into it, right? And I didn't really enjoy it, but I think having that experience, I can kind of relate to Stacy. Like she has this chance of going out and doing her own thing right after high school. I think at the time, I mean, when I graduated high school, it was like whoa, we have all these things, all these opportunities in front of us. Like whether you want to be a musician, an artist, or be a doctor, whatever. I think I think they portrayed it pretty well. Um, but like you said, there was just no hook. Um, Nothing. There was no turning point in the game. I think, and and for you listeners out there, this will be there will be spoilers, so just FYI. But I think that turning point was when Cassandra left with I can't even remember her name.
Oh yeah, no, the main antagonist who
Y-
really, the person that Stacy Rockford doesn't like just because really she doesn't like the same type of music as her, which hey, I thought was kind of funny. But
yeah,
I think was her name like Jenny, fucking Jenny. I think they
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
she says
yeah.
like,
Yes,
which is
yes.
hilarious by the way. It was
Jenny Goodspeed.
It was Jenny, right? Yeah.
Jenny,
So
yeah,
Jenny Goodspeed.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Um, I think that was like the turning point that was supposed to be like, ooh, like, whatever. But honestly, like, other than that, like, characters were not super memorable. I mean, like, Slater was chill and,
yeah, Slater was good.
he was pretty funny. There were a lot of like the clicks and the kind of like that kind of stuff folded into the game, which is cool. I will say, Marco, when the game first started, like right from the beginning, I don't know what it was, but the fidelity of the music really drew me in right there.
Oh yeah,
Right?
uh,
It
yeah.
was and they're like
It was a great
skating,
opening.
great
Yeah.
opening, right? But I think after that opening, they fell short.
Yeah, no, it's the skateboarding intro. I was like, okay, this is gonna be my type of game.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, I think ultimately it was like the rising tension was like, okay, where are we gonna get booze for this party? I have this whole plan, and you know, the rising tension came when they first go to Cass's house and you find out Cass's father is a police officer, and he kind of seems like, okay, like this is where the conflict's going to be, right? It's with this police
Yeah.
officer, they're going to get into a ton of trouble.
Hmm.
It's going to be a whole big to do, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like there was like the father comes to like the party, and like they ultimately get out of it, but like the amount of tension was there for like 10 minutes, 12
Not
minutes,
even.
and then it was like
Yeah.
not even, and it was the tensions weren't even that high, and then it was over,
Yeah.
and everybody just went on about their lives. And I think that's my two main gripes, and one of which we haven't touched on yet, but I think the premise is extremely strong. It's from start to finish, it's such a good premise, like a short, tight 3 to 5 hour experience, centered around this 90s nostalgic music. Like, we're the audience for that type of game. Like, we eat that stuff up all day. But the fact that I think for both of us, we had a similar reaction of just like, we love the premise, but just the execution just wasn't there. And I think story wise aside, the other gripe was I think just in gameplay, and like I said, we said at the beginning, like you and I both like these types of games. The gameplay was fine. It was like it was surrounded around all these different vignettes. Like I really love the scene with like the head banging in the car. I thought that
Oh
was
yeah.
hilarious,
Yeah.
right? But I think some other critics and viewers have said out in the community is like you can just also not press buttons, and it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was funny moments like that, but there weren't enough of those to fill an experience. I think was the
Yeah.
issue.
I mean, they had like the funny cringe moments, like like the French kissing scene. I think that was
Oh yeah,
hilarious. They
yeah,
they
that was
hit the mark on that. I think it's like reliving kind of that awkward teenage years of like dating somebody and kissing for the first time, and I there I'd be remiss to say if they didn't they they if I said they didn't have some memorable experiences, at least
yeah,
for me to relate to. um but yeah, no, ultimately I think it fell flat. I
yeah.
think the game was overrated and overhyped. um People calling it a masterpiece. What are you guys doing? What games are you guys playing,
Right.
honestly?
Yeah, I think yeah, like you said, like the mechanics of like the French kiss or the skateboarding, like it had so many like small little good ideas, and but then they were over after like 15, 20 seconds, and then it goes back to just like you know typical walking simulator stuff, interacting with like I just wanted more of it, I think. And
Yeah, flush it out, right?
flush it out. Like honestly, like the game could have been. Maybe you disagree with me, but I think the game could have been better if it had another 2 hours of more gameplay and just like a deeper story or like more happening. Because I feel like once I started getting in the swing of it, it was over. It
No,
was
you
like,
you that that's
yeah,
a fantastic point, right? Like there was not a whole lot of fleshing out of the characters, right?
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like Cassandra's going to college, Stacy's going to New York, Slater's being Slater, whatever. But like, we never, we just kind of jumped into it, and it's like there's no backstory. So yeah, there probably could have been another 2.5 hours of like character development for us to get attached to the characters. But that leads me to the next kind of question: is like, would this game be better off being like a TV show or like a short movie?
I've heard the argument, and I yes and no. Like I I think we could all agree. Like game could have been better on multiple fronts. TV shows, they're as the story, taking the story as it was, there's not even enough for a TV show. I would argue. Like I said, I think like the premise is perfectly there, and whether it's a video game or a TV show or a movie, taking the story as it was from start to finish, I don't think you have enough content there.
Yeah,
Like there's not enough conflict. Like
exactly.
honestly,
No
like it just,
conflict, or
you know,
yeah, lack of conflict. It just felt like more of like a kind of like a glorified demo, if I may,
yeah.
right?
No, honestly, yeah.
It's like Beethoven and what's the dove? Beethoven and
Beethoven
Dinosaur,
Dinosaur. Yeah.
right? It's like this was like for them to showcase kind of their experience, and maybe if they had more budget, they would be able to create a game with a deeper story with some deeper gameplay elements. Um, One of the people actually on my Steam friends list saw me buy it, and she was like, "Oh, I let me know how it is because to me it looks like Life is Strange." I don't know if you played Life is Strange.
I did.
Okay.
Only the first one.
Yeah, same. Only the first one. And I mean, similar vibes kinda, but like Life is Strange had a little more like a little more meat to it. It had a little more going for it. Again, Beethoven Dinosaur, I feel like you guys kind of created a demo here. I think it's a good foundation of your future games, right? The art is pretty unique. Um but yeah, it felt more of like a, I think you said interactive vignette,
All right.
rather than
It's
an
a
actual game.
it's like a good, like, here's what's in our repertoire. Here's our portfolio builder, sort of.
Right. Yeah.
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 And arguably, like they did have a lot of money, right? Like
Did they?
Annapurna Interact. Like I mean,
Let me
the
see the
publisher.
budget. I want to
I
know
mean,
the
it was.
budget, man. But
It's more than most indies, and I think that's a whole separate argument. Is like, is
okay.
this an indie game? Given that it's published by an Annapurna Interactive, but
So
what was the budget?
there was no exact number, at least just a quick
Okay.
Google search didn't pop up anything, but they did say it was an unusually high budget.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I mean, it kind of has to be because one of the interesting things they did do is to protect themselves from getting delisted. They bought the rights, and rights are complicated for these what
oh,
25, 26 songs,
yep.
whatever the case may be. And so this game actually can't get delisted, which I think is awesome. Like it's from a you know uh gaming preservation perspective, like as long as it's out there on digital storefronts. I don't think there was a physical release.
And
Um,
you bring up a good point there though. Like that's got to be expensive. So to
yeah,
me, that says a majority of their budget went to licensing, music license, right? Rather than actual development of the game, going towards the devs doing gameplay and things like that,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I do believe the developers made the game they wanted to make, right? I don't think.
Agreed.
I just think.
I
I
think
just think
as a
there could have been
gamer,
more. Yeah,
yes, exactly. There could have been more, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Um. So then, what are your final thoughts on mixtape? And would you recommend to someone that they pick it up, or as we like to say, cop it or drop it? Um.
um, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Sure. And you want me to give a numerical
Sure.
rating first? Okay. Honestly, I give this game a 6 out of 10. Right. 20 bucks. I think that's how much the game was. 20 USD. Right. Um, it was a nice little experience. I didn't, and you know this from our conversations during outside of this podcast. Like, I didn't clamor to finish the game. I know you finished in a single
One
sitting, right?
sitting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 hours. 3 hours and 5 minutes. I think it was. I was
Yeah,
done start to finish.
I think I clocked in at three-ish hours too, but I didn't finish it all in one sitting. And honestly, I think there were like 2 or 3 days or 4 days that I waited in between before actually wrapping up the last 20 minutes. I wasn't super impressed. It was a cool little niche experience. Um, but I mean, for $20, like I, $20, man, you can get a lot of good games.
You get a
A,
lot of good games.
a lot of good games, especially on Steam sale. You know, I'm a PC gamer. The Steam Summer Sale is coming up soon. $20 can get you like 6, 7 amazing video games. So I'm
Yeah.
going to have to drop it. I'm not copping. I'm dropping.
I would say let me put this forward. I don't regret playing it. I had fun with it. But at this time, I would also agree with dropping it, but if it's if you see it on sale, I think it's worth the pickup. I think it's a fun little
That's a good
3 hour
point.
experience, but don't have I think the major outlets, the IGNs, the you know, GameSpots of the world kind of overhyped it. That's going to be like the best story cuz like if it was a 10 out of 10 story, yeah, maybe my review score would be a lot higher. Like it just wasn't. Like the story and the gameplay could have, you know, been a lot better. So I would say if you see it on sale, I would say it's a cop. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
5, 10, $12, I'd be
Yeah. I
fine with
think
it.
$10 is a great medium for this
Yeah,
game.
I
Like,
would pick it up in a heartbeat.
yeah.
$20 is a little tougher. I will say I don't have that agita because I am a Game Pass subscriber, so it was on Game Pass, so I didn't like just with my continued subscription. So I think my score is a little bit higher than yours, but I also didn't have to pay the $20 for the extra $20, I should say, for this game. So I was sitting at about 6.5 overall. I
Oh,
think
6.5.
6.5. I almost
I
even
thought
thought
you were
about
given like a 7.2 or something. Honestly.
I was thinking as high as 7. I don't think I could go higher than
Okay.
7, but I did
Okay.
have fun. But I have to go to 6.5 because the whole time I was just like, I like this. I just want more.
Yeah.
Just
No.
do more with this story. Do more with this gameplay.
Yeah.
And I like, and we spoke inside. And I know you haven't played this game, but like another Annapurna Interactive game that's actually one of my favorite quote walking sims of all time. What Remains of Edith Finch? I think had an amazing story, and what they did with the different gameplay vignettes of that game was so memorable. Like I can distinctly remember different gameplay elements of that game and the story tied around it because I can immerse myself with those different Finch characters, right? That Finch family. This game, I'm not going to remember it in 2, 3 years. I'm not going to remember what happened. I'm not going to remember certain gameplay segments, maybe outside of, like the skateboarding or the like the headbanging car scene. Everything like I also forgot the kissing scene, right? So yeah, I think overall I'm glad I played it. Probably won't ever play it again. Unlike like what remains of Edith Finch, right? Like that game I would actually replay anytime. This one, it's a one and done.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And B&D, Beethoven Dinosaur, you guys like, hey, listen, no hard feelings, right? Like it was a fun experience. I just don't know, and maybe this is to no fault of your own, but it was a little overhyped from, I think, just the industry
We'll
overall.
play their next one. We're
Yeah, yeah. I would for sure
I
play
think
their next one.
we'll play the next one. But all right. Well, I think that wraps it up for our thoughts on Mixtape. Um, if you're new here to the channel, we'll be doing reviews, discussions just like this every month, as well as reactions to weekly gaming news and headlines, as well as other fun topics. So, hope you stick around and consider liking, subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one.